Next on the Retirement Halftime Show, choosing your investment style, what's the first thing you need to decide before even talking to a financial professional? Then, taking a long view on taxes, how proper planning keeps more of your money in your pocket and the IRS auditors happy. And the benefits of a VA loan can be better than a conventional mortgage. We are breaking down the pros and the cons for those who qualify. And staying in the game can be hard. Butler basketball coach Thad Matta has advice for when the ball and the markets aren't bouncing your way. Now on the Retirement Halftime Show.
You wouldn't play a game the second half the same way you would the first, especially if you had the lead. This is the Retirement Halftime Show, helping you maintain your lead in retirement.
We are here today with Alex Joyce from ReJoyce Financial, and today we're talking about the fundamentals of investing. Big term there. What are the fundamentals, Alex?
You know, just like we always say, right? They're different for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that when people watch this show, I think it's imperative that first and foremost, you know, we don't give recommendations in this setting, and I think we get that a lot. And it's like, you know, people call in or they listen to the show and they email me or they email the team, and I think that one of the biggest things we want people to do when they're listening to this and getting the information is call in for further education.
Okay.
Because that's what this show is for.
Key.
Right?
It's key.
Educating the public on ways they can make better decisions financially, right? And so I think that the number one thing that people should really focus on before they invest anything, whether it's real estate or whether it's traditional investments like stocks or bonds. And we get a lot of questions of like gold and commodities and storable stuff. It's just like all over the board. They're all investments. Because people want to make money, right? And they invest their money or their time, because that's an investment as well, into something, and they expect something in return.
It's true.
A lot of times that's dollars and cents.
Right.
And so risk is number one. And how we look at risk and how we measure risk is critical before making any kind of investment decisions. I mean, such as, you know, when we ask people, you know, hey, if you had $100,000, right? And you lost $10,000 of that. Would that keep you up at night? And some people would say, man, that's a lot, right? But then we say, hey, would you lose on $100,000? Would you be okay risking and maybe possibly losing 10% of it? Yeah. And some people would say, yeah, it's not too bad.
Doesn't sound so bad.
Right?
Yeah.
Such is true when we say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How do you feel about risk? Most people would say, 5. Right? Okay. Because the fact is, they really don't. When we talk about risk, it sets in, I think personally, it sets in emotionally. Yeah. It's like, well, the fear of loss kind of sets in. It's like, well, I want to make money, but I really don't know how to make money, but I don't know how much I should risk. And so one of the tools that we use in our office, and one of the metrics and strategies that we use, technology that we use, is a formula called standard deviation. Okay. And so one of the standard deviation, I don't mean to talk high level, and this certainly isn't an econ show, if you will, but it's a tool that we use that shows us probability, right? You know, how much risk are you willing to take, or are you taking in return for compensation? Yeah. And so what that does is it squashes those two things together so we can find something called efficiency. Okay. Right? Because we don't want people to take a bunch of risk, make very little money. Yep. And such is true where everybody wants to take very little risk and make a bunch of money. Yes. Right? And so there's a sweet spot in between and what we're trying to sweet spot, right? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to gather people, right? And gather those funds or gather those ideas to show them the most efficient way to do and the most optimized way to hit that goal. Yep. Right? And so one of the things we do also, and anybody can get this, right? I mean, these are tools that when someone walks in our office, these are things that we go through with everybody, right? Such as a stress test, right? A stress test would be, hey, you know what? 2000, right? 2007, 2009 was very difficult, very hard. So what we do is we take people's portfolios and we send them through that past event to show them how they feel about the outcome.
Oh, that is so cool.
That's risk. Yeah. And so they don't like the number, then we create a solution to change it.
I love that.
Right? So listen, I could talk about risk all day long, risk reward. Yep. But I think, you know, for most people, it's like, well, how do I get that? I think that they just first need to take a leap of faith. Yeah. And if they like or hear something they like, I think they need to take action. And they should just call us and schedule a time to sit down and discuss it.
Yeah. A long-term approach is always better, right?
For investments, yes.
Yes.
You know, we're no miracle makers. We don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
We work our tails off, but I tell you, this is a long game.
Yeah, it's a long game, but it's never too late to start.
I don't think it is, you know, and you know, when we help people or take people on, that is a thing I think in the back of people's minds.
I do too.
Right, I'm too old.
I'm
young,
embarrassed. At this stage of my life, I haven't really done anything. I'm embarrassed to even meet with you.
I think it's difficult. So it's just true with the young people, they don't take it as serious, you know, or they want something that's unreasonable, such as, I don't mean to, you know, crypto.
Yeah.
But we're just not in a place where we're putting a bunch of crypto in people's retirement plans, right?
We don't know about
I don't think we will probably ever do that.
Right, okay.
Risk, reward.
Okay.
Okay, so education, again, is most important. We want to educate people. We want people to come in, pay us a visit, see if there's anything we can do to help. It doesn't cost a penny to get a second opinion.
And that's the thing about you guys. You're a one-stop shop. Consultation is free. As always, such great information. We'll have more great information coming up, so be sure to stick around.
Coming up next on the Retirement Halftime Show, reducing your tax liability could mean automatic gains in your retirement portfolio. How a tax advisor goes beyond doing your taxes. Plus, Butler basketball coach Thad Matta on the mental side of the game. The advice to his team could work for your financial planning as well. Schedule a no-cost, no-obligation visit today by calling 317-903-9157.
The journey to retirement takes many twists and turns. Don't take that trip alone. Let the team at ReJoyce Financial be your co-pilot. The expert team of financial planners can create a roadmap that gets you to your goals. They'll work with you to create a financial plan that gives you confidence and peace of mind. Start the process today. Call 317-903-9157 or text 707-ReJoyce. Rejoice in your retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by ReJoyce Financial.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me today is Marquita Berry, the head of our tax planning and tax filing, let's call it division, right?
Yeah.
You head up that department, and I'm blessed to have you a part of the team with your experience. You know, I mean, you've spent a lot of your career on the IRS side, right, and kind of the corporate world, corporate structure, into kind of funnel that down, if you will, to now be very client-facing and a part of our team is just fortuitous. And so one of the big things that we want to do with our clients or our viewers, if you will, is we want to paint the picture to be able to properly manage expectations. And a part of that, especially in the tax world, even for me, it becomes very muddy at times. It's like, you know, you get all this stuff, and your stuff's starting to come in the mail. And the more mature you get in retirement, especially when you get like RMD and you got different schedules and, you know, you got dividend income and investment income and you got all this stuff coming in K1s, and then maybe you got a trust. Mm-hmm. And so it definitely gets to be a lot. And so what we do is we invite people to come in, and we invite people to call and schedule a time really for us to really understand what is in it for them. And to me, what that means is we are a goals-based firm. Absolutely. Right? With no minimums, with no dollars and cents in front of us. It's just, you know, the value proposition is, can we do business by changing a life? And a part of that is, how do we change your tax life? And I think that to clear up this maybe misconception with the tax world, what are some of the common questions that we want to get out of the way and really just ask a client before they just leap in and let us do their taxes?
I would say some common questions, starting with the first one, is what has worked well or has not worked well for the client in their experience with their tax situation. And it'll give me an idea of where to start, because sometimes individuals just don't know. They're trusting a professional, they're signing the return. And I feel like the way that we approach tax planning here is so different, because we listen to the client and understand what worked well. And if you don't know where to start, I can start there with you. Sure. With education of, this is what has worked well. This is what happened, because sometimes people don't even know what has happened on their tax return. So they can understand what has happened and who, again, that household composition, you know, what are your goals?
Right.
Who is in your household? Who are you taking care of? How are you taking care of them? And how can I keep you within proper tax code, but take care of what is important to you, your family, your goals, your future. So take that information, get a good understanding, right? Build that relationship, really listen to the client and see what they need to be educated on, if anything, some of the clients are very savvy. So meeting them where they are and getting them where they want to go, no matter where they started.
Yeah, isn't that important? I think that, you have to start somewhere, and I think that a lot of times that's one of the biggest reasons that some people don't reach out, take that leap of faith, and actually call an advisor because they really don't know what they don't know. They don't know where to start. They don't know if they have enough. They don't know what the cost is. They don't know if it's a fee-based, and we throw words in like fiduciary, right? Yeah. It really becomes very difficult. And maybe we have a teacher that teaches elementary, or maybe we have a surgeon that is doing surgery on a heart, right? And it's like, wow, I don't know how to do that. I'll probably, I have no interest in that. Yeah. I love this. And you love what you do, I can tell, because your passion comes through for helping other people. And I think it starts there. When we do a tax plan and we are ready to start the tax filing process, is it important, one of the questions I would have, is it important to have several years of back or past tax returns at the tip of your fingertips to review?
It would be very important to have past tax returns, but it depends on the specific situation. A lot of times, if I just see the prior year's return, I can gather so much information on how to help that client.
Or if they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, if they're doing something wrong, or if something worked well, this was done really well for you, we want to continue that, or to dig in. Sometimes asking more questions in that discovery phase, you learn that what was done works well, but something works even better. Right. Especially if that particular activity they want to continue. They want to grow in that, for example. Like if it's a business, there's the startup phase. There's a certain way we're going to deal with the client in a startup phase. There's a growth phase. There's certain things you want to do when you're in a growth phase. Someone wants to go international. That changes everything. So it all goes back to really communicating with the client, being very honest about the things that can and cannot be done, what's been done well, what we will do for them, which is support them in every way we can, but also to talk to them about, some things I may need for them to do and be that support while they learn how to do those things.
That support, and that is so true, and just working with them, listening to them, understanding what the goals and priorities are, making sure that, hey, you know what, the way you filed your taxes now that you're retired isn't really the way you should be filing your taxes, and have a plan moving forward to address the need, understand the concern, manage the expectation, and meet with us, right? I mean, it's all under one roof, and so to me, that's truly special. Marquita, I thank you for your time addressing some of our clients' tax concerns and our viewers as well. Again, you're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alex Joyce. Again, Marquita Berry, head of our tax division. Stay tuned, folks. There's more show to come.
Still ahead on the Retirement Halftime Show, a special perk for those who serve in our community, how mortgages from the Veterans Administration work, and the many benefits of getting one, and trust, but verify when checking your credit card statements, what credit card companies can and can't do when you dispute a charge. Schedule a no-cost, no-obligation visit today by calling 317-903-9157.
Hoping to have enough income to last through retirement isn't a strategy, it's a recipe for failure. Everyone needs a tangible plan. ReJoyce Financial can help you get on the right path. Come in for a visit and let's discuss what's going on with your financial well-being. We're an inclusive team that won't offer judgment, only ideas on how to make your money work for you. Give us a call at 317-903-9157. Let us help you rejoice in retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by ReJoyce Financial.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce. With me today is Tim Ayers. We are talking mortgages. Tim, we've been on a series of mortgages, and we've been talking about FHAs. We've been talking about conventional mortgages, and now we're going to talk about VA, Veterans Administration loans. Yes, I nailed it. And so we want to go through that and just really, Tim, maybe talk about what it is, who's it for, naturally veterans, but what are the benefits of that?
Well, there are several benefits to having a VA, doing a VA loan or getting a VA loan, and one of them is there's zero down, and there's no PMI.
Right.
There sometimes is an upfront funding fee, but that's not PMI, and that can be rolled into the loan. You could pay that if you wish, but it can be rolled into the loan, and but there's no monthly PMI, and that is really, really cool. The rates are generally better on a VA loan because, again, it is government funded, and so it's guaranteed by you and me, the taxpayer. Okay. So there's that, but they're really they made these loans really good for veterans, and they made it so that it isn't so difficult to get a loan like it would be on a conventional mortgage, which is a little more difficult.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Now, with a VA, when we talk about the difficulty getting in, there's still a qualification, right? You don't just have to be a veteran. You got to have credit, right? You have to have debt to income must be a little lower than most, right? I mean, and you just kind of go into that in terms of the differences, if you will. When you veteran, jump into this loan, no PMI, nothing out of pocket, no down payment. Does it require, because is there more risk associated with this?
No, not to you as the VA borrower. There's no more risk. There is closing costs, which ends up being probably about 1% of the loan amount, but that's it. And they cannot be rolled into the loan, but the loan is so much easier on the person getting it that it makes it well worth it. And again, they can refinance it if rates come down. So they're marrying their house, they're dating their rate.
Sure.
Yeah, and so when they bring it down, it's called an IRRRL, and it's a quick refi. It takes about a week to 2.
Really? Is
That's
that
it.
right?
Yeah.
It pays to be a veteran, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, that is a great benefit. I think, I didn't know a lot of that, right? And I think, I've studied this industry extensively, perhaps on the mortgage side. That's why you're sitting right of me, right? And I think that a lot of our viewers, they probably aren't versed in this either, right? They just go out there and they maybe talk to their bank, and they got a relationship with Chase or whoever it is, and they just talk to the normal lending arm or the relationship they've established perhaps with their advisor, and they get a referral and et cetera. And so I think that understanding the differences in the benefits, right, between all these mortgages that we go over in these segments and in this series is important. Any last maybe perhaps takeaways in the topic of VAs?
Yes. A VA mortgage loan can be cash out, refied.
Okay, same way any other of them?
No, better.
Okay. Better.
They can go up to 100% of the value of the home versus 80% on conventional or FHA. And so if they got into a situation, or they want to just pay off high interest debt, they can do a refi.
Use it for whatever they want.
And use it for whatever they want.
That is awesome.
Home improvement or paying off debt.
Go to Florida.
Go
to Hawaii.
Yes.
Costa Rica.
Or investing.
Yes,
they could do that.
I like that better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it. Listen, you're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. More show to come, folks. Don't change the station.
Still ahead, ambition, drive, and desire don't always lead to success. You also need the right relationships. Advice from Butler basketball coach Thad Matta for recruiting the right team on the court or in retirement. Next, text Alexander today and schedule a visit to discuss your financial goals for tomorrow and beyond. Text 707-ReJoyce.
The best coaches improve your game. Work with the best financial coach in the game. Alexander Joyce and ReJoyce Financial can get your retirement game plan in order. Call 317-903-9157 to schedule a visit now.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by ReJoyce Financial.
Planning to win. Coaching strategies for financial success. Here's Alexander Joyce and Butler University men's basketball head coach, Thad Matta.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me today is Thad Matta. We're here. I see, I'm a huge sports fan, college basketball fan. I'm a huge sports fan in general. And, I've got friends that are, high level, and I've had friends that are high level basketball players, college athletes. And, I've watched them. I've seen some friends of mine go from like high school to college, transition from college, and to see the talent, those milestones along the way is like night and day, right? Not only am I talking about like physicality or speed, or size, if you will, because you could do that in the locker room. Right? I mean, I could do that.
Right.
You know.
Right. No doubt.
Right. But just accuracy. And, you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine and shooting hoops on a court with some of these guys that play at that level. They have to try to miss, almost like it's so amazing. And then they go from college to NBA, and they have changed so much, and their skill set has changed so much. I mean, their head has to have gotten so much bigger too. Right? How do you keep them humble?
Well, I think that's. A lot of times that's one of the toughest parts of getting guys to have the humility, and understand why they're getting better. And that's what I've always seen with great players. They think different. They have a different mindset than a lot of guys. They go into a gym by themselves, and you watch them, and you know they're in a game somehow. They're playing, where some guys just go in and shoot. But they're not putting themselves in that position, and I think from the standpoint of hey, everybody wants to be successful. I think part of our deal is teaching them how to be successful, how to think. I mean, the mind, the legendary Bob Knight used to say the game of basketball is mental, physical is 4:1. And getting guys to understand, we're in a situation, our first year here at Butler, and they haven't won for a couple years.
Sure.
And so we're attempting to teach them how you have to think to win. And there's definitely an art to that. Now the talent and the size and the athleticism plays a huge role in it.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
But I think when you get those guys and you get them thinking the right thoughts and understanding the game of basketball, understanding the process, that's where they differentiate themselves from other players.
Isn't it? I mean, it's all mental.
It is.
It starts to become a really mentally, the discipline. Right. I mean, you hear the stories, but I'm sure you just watching them through that and then seeing them go to that next level. I mean, how many guys have you seen that you've under your management, of your guidance, your advice, right? Under your mentorship, if you will. Yeah. How many guys have you seen go to the NBA?
Oh, geez, I think I've had like 18 maybe that have gone on and played, and countless guys that are still playing overseas professionally. And,
right.
And it's funny because we tell kids in high school, you play checkers in high school, we play chess in college. Well, in college we play checkers. The NBA plays chess.
Yeah.
And just all the thinking that goes into it. And how many guys come back and say, "Man, if I'd have just listened along the way." But that's part of growth. That's part of maturity.
It's a business.
It is.
Right?
It is.
At the end
No
of the day,
question.
you're just like, at the end of the day, I'm sure they're here for a reason. Their academics are important to them. They didn't get here because, they didn't take that serious. They're here for a reason. Butler has a great program all the way around. And they're skilled enough to be able to, first of all, understand that, submit to that, and then go into your guidance, mentorship. With us, it's like, we don't claim to be the best, right? I mean, we think, right? I think there's no other firm but ReJoyce Financial, and why not us, right? I believe that we're winners, and we put the energy and the effort and have the expertise, and we've have a phenomenal track record of winning with our clients, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the pressure is now, every advisor, you can walk down the street and there's advisors on everybody says they can do it. Even do-it-yourselfers can do it the best. But it's, for us, it's the realistic part is, since there is a lot of us, it isn't that we are good at every single piece of the puzzle. We're good with our clients in a certain place, right? And we understand that everybody's not perfect for us, and we're not perfect for everybody, right? I'm sure Butler sits, I'm sure you guys say the same thing. You don't just ever open your doors up and everybody can come play basketball.
Right, no question.
Right, there's no question about that. It is for a certain set of people and players, if you will, and kids that want to strive to do better. But as you mentioned, the mental mindset goes a lot into that. We always say that, at what point, and I've found it funny, Coach Matta, that I read an article, just a real quick story. I read an article, it was by AARP, and it said that 73% of individuals in retirement have yet to sit down and talk to an advisor of any kind. 73%. It's a big number.
Yeah.
It's a huge number. And I think about that, and I say, well, why do I think that? Why do I think that? And I think the funny part that always makes me laugh is I think the 27% that actually do take that leap of faith and they go in, they talk to an advisor or some type of retirement planning counselor for the first time ever, and they give an hour of their time and they come back home and their friends and family gather around. They say, how did it go? And you know what they said? I have no idea what that guy was talking about.
Right, no
you know
question.
what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
And because it is difficult, and sometimes this information, whether it be Social Security planning or pension planning or just wealth strategies, or let alone how to build a portfolio from scratch and stick to it, and ways to make your lifestyle whole, as we mentioned in retirement or approaching retirement. There's so many crazy things out there with like crypto and everything else that's going on in our world, and it's where do we start? And I think that I'm sure you get the same thing. You bring a freshman, and it's like, where do we have this guy? We have this kid, right? We have this man that wants to win. He's got the strive and the ambition, but where do we start? They're just kind of everywhere. Do you get the same thing? I mean,
no, we do, and I think you had touched on it a minute ago. It's. I've always said this in recruiting: the young man you bring in is going to become a product of your environment.
Sure.
And whatever type of environment we have here, and obviously, I say this: we try to recruit a special type of kid here. A kid that values education, that values hard work, that values just the process. Butler's not a factory like some of these universities where if he's not good enough, we'll get rid of him, we'll bring somebody else in, it's not a big deal. We want to bring guys in, we want to develop them from who they are as people to who they are as players. And within that environment we're trying to create, we want it to be where guys want to come in and get better. They want to work, they want to ask questions. I think, as we sit at night and watch film with our team, guys are asking questions. It's a great thing. They want to learn. So as we go out there and we're trying to find clients, we want to make sure we find the right guys, because we're not for everybody, and we know that. And I've always said this: we're dealing with kids' lives, and we don't want to put them in a bad situation.
Absolutely.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by ReJoyce Financial.
Today's tip of the week for stronger financial health. Billing mistakes on your credit card can happen. When they do, knowing how to fix them can save you time and money. Follow these 5 steps to dispute incorrect charges or fees. First, review your credit card statement closely every month to make sure there are no mistakes. Look for anything unfamiliar, including add-on or optional fee-based products. If something is wrong, call the customer service number or file a dispute online. Explain what's wrong with your bill, then follow up with a written notice within 60 days to protect your legal rights. Your bill contains instructions on how and where to send this notice, which may be at a different address than where you send your payments. Make sure you pay the undisputed charges. You don't have to pay the disputed charges while the credit card company investigates. You won't be charged any interest on that amount. Finally, the credit card company gets 2 billing cycles to look into your dispute. If the charges are legitimate, the credit card company must tell you why it thinks you owe the money, how much you owe, and when you must pay it to avoid finance or other charges.
Thank you for watching the Retirement Halftime Show. If you have questions about today's show, give us a call, send us a text, or go to our website. Most importantly, maintain your lead in retirement. I'm Alexander Joyce, and I'll see you next time.